Welcome back. Now, one thing I look forward to on Wednesdays is our nutrition segment. We are what we eat, it's often said. And on nutrition today, we're joined by Deborah Onoja. She's a passionate person. She's registered as a nutritionist and dietitian, and she has a wealth of knowledge and experience from the nutrition and diet sector for over 6 years. Now, when it comes to combating malnutrition, preventing non-communicable diseases through nutrition, and helping patients adopt healthier lifestyles and healthier dietary habits, that's what she's all about, and she's here with us this morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So our topic today is all about food poisoning, yes? And a lot of people are not so clear on what food poisoning is. When you hear poison, the first thing you think about is a Nollywood movie and some sneaky person dropping something in someone's drink or someone's food or someone's pot. But we have to break down what food poisoning actually represents.
Okay, so food poisoning is also called foodborne illnesses.
Okay.
The category of illnesses or
Go ahead.
Or
sicknesses,
yes, that come from food poisoning is also called foodborne illnesses. So it's food poisoning, but clinically it's also called foodborne illnesses.
Okay.
So food poisoning is caused when microorganisms are transferred in course of food preparation into food.
Okay.
So these microorganisms live outside the body and they are not supposed to be inside the body. But in course of processing, food materials, we do not process food materials the way they're supposed to be processed. Okay. And also in course of food storage, these microorganisms, leave the environment, get into the food, and then we put them into our body. To our body, it starts to make us feel sick.
Okay, so obviously these microorganisms constitute poisonous representation to the body, and then the body reacts to whatever those microorganisms are causing. But you mentioned food storage and food preparation. Now, this is really key because the larger percentage of the population goes to open markets to purchase their food. They purchase meat from a slab, they purchase fish from a slab or from, a market where it's in bowls that you're not really sure whether these places are actually clean or not, or how clean the vendor actually is. So in that journey from the market to the house to the pot to when I actually eat it, what can I do to prevent this kind of situation from happening? Okay,
so food is not safe to consume until it's been ridded of all microorganisms and toxins, right? So that's why food preparation is very important. In certain food materials, in course of transporting them from the farm to the house, then of course in course of cooking, like the vegetables, like the meat, of course they have to slaughter meat.
Yes.
So if meat is not consumed raw as well, okay. So certain food materials, when we purchase food materials, when moved from the farm to when we consume, they can also still carry these microorganisms.
Okay.
So it is how we process these food materials before we consume that actually makes the food that we consume poisonous to our system or safe to consume. So it's now on us as food handlers, everybody handles food, so we are food handlers in our homes, how we handle food to ensure that we process the food the right way, prepare it the right way, store it the right way, so that we don't breed these microorganisms, and then microorganisms that are probably on the food are not
harmful,
are not, are destroyed. Now, like in the case of meat, for instance, chicken and poultry food materials always, and meats, vegetables generally, they come with a particular bacteria that causes food poisoning, salmonella.
Yeah.
So, in course of processing meat, we have to ensure that the meat is properly cooked.
Yeah.
And talking about how the processing these food materials, the cooking area, it's very important. Cross-contamination. For instance, you buy meat from the market, and you want to cook your meat. You have to cut it, and all of that.
You use a chopping board.
You use a chopping board to do that. now use that same chopping board to go for a vegetable or go for a fruit. And it might be like the cooking area, maybe the sink or wherever you washed that particular meat, wasn't properly washed after using that, that space. So those are the ways with which we can actually become, poisoned with these microorganisms. And also, there are other food materials that can also cause food poisoning because of handling, like eggs. Most people don't wash their hands after using egg. You come back from the store, you may not be like you actually even went to buy meat. It may just be, other groceries, and then you put your eggs, use your hands to put your eggs into your refrigerator, and then you're done. You don't wash your hands, and then you just go pick a biscuit and you're good to go. So ensuring that you properly wash your hands and, under running water, after handling food materials and all of that. After handling food materials and then before eating especially, is very important to prevent food poisoning. Okay,
so we've touched on quite a few areas now. We've touched on the journey from the market, or let's say from the farm to the market, to the pot, to your table. But we've also talked about handling the food. Those chopping boards, I want to go back to that because I've watched quite a few cooking shows where you notice that there are different colored chopping boards, different types of chopping boards used for different types of food, and different ways to sanitize food. So we know that we're going to boil meat. We're going to fry chicken, for instance, to likely kill those microorganisms. But what about things like vegetables that are supposed to be eaten fresh? Things like salads. How do we manage that?
Okay, so that's why you should have different chopping boards, differentiated by colors, so you know which ones to use for your animal products, which ones to use for your vegetables, your fruits, and all of that. Yeah. Then secondly, we have to ensure that we wash our vegetables and fruits under running water. We could also wash with a bit of salt and vinegar, but ensure that it's washed.
You said running water?
Yes.
Not inside a bowl. So if I dump my vegetables in a bowl and lift it out, you're saying it's not as clean as if it is running water running over the vegetables.
This food poisoning is caused by microorganisms. You can't see them with your eyes. So you have to ensure that you wash and wash again, right? So you could put your vegetables into a bowl, put a bit of salt or vinegar, wash it the first time, wash it again, and then you just put it into a colander, like a sieve. And then, that way you're washing under running water. So you just wash,
organisms away.
Exactly, away, as much as, you try as much as possible to, wash them. Because when you wash, when you don't wash under running water, you may wash once or twice, but, you may not really get rid of. But under running water, you can, use water generously, and then that can help to...
Well, we do know the realities of water storage and water situation in Nigeria. Not everyone has access to running water and the like. Even clean water is also challenging. But let's come back to the main topic, which is food poisoning. There are people that are experiencing, those symptoms at this point. Let's just assume someone is experiencing symptoms. They didn't wash their food well. They cooked it to a certain extent. Maybe they didn't get rid of all those microorganisms, and something is happening. What is the first thing they need to do?
Okay, so these microorganisms that cause food poisoning could be bacteria, causes, it could be viral microorganisms, it could be also, as a result of parasites. Now, when you take ill, most of the symptoms that you see, for most all of these types of microorganisms that cause food poisoning is sometimes you feel abdominal cramps. Sometimes people have diarrhea. Diarrhea means that they have very loose stool. Sometimes they feel very feverish, they feel nauseated and all of that. So the first thing to do is when you suspect you have a food poisoning is to stop eating. And, look around to see what, has probably caused you to have food poisoning. It might be yogurt, it might be, it may be something, because we don't cook the yogurt, right? So if it's not stored properly, it can, actually, trigger, cause that. Yeah, so you have to look at what you had and then now treat the symptoms. So I said treat the symptoms like, so treat the symptoms like first aid, like if you have diarrhea, ensure that you are very well hydrated. Drink water, because when you have diarrhea, you're losing stool, you're losing water. So make sure that you drink water, and then the next thing is to do is to go to the hospital or call a doctor so that, appropriate medications can be given you And then, you know, if you still have a lot of stomach upset, before you get to the hospital, you know, even when you are already taking treatment, you could take coconut water to ensure that, you know, because water may just be too bland. People may not really like water as much. So you take coconut water because coconut water has a lot of electrolytes.
Okay.
So it helps to, when you lose electrolytes, so you need to, you know, replenish this electrolyte by taking...
You know what? There are quite a few other tips that I know you could probably give. I just wish we had enough time to give all of them right now. But hopefully we'll be able to give them on social media if you have questions on what to do, what you can do as first aid for a situation like this. Thank you so much for coming to join us.
Thank you.